Hello, Rama Rama Pupode. I hope all are having a healthy life, living peacefully, are very relaxed and happy always. Now let's continue with chapter 20, Jhansi. Making enquiries, they straight away went to a dharmashala and resting here for some time at the suggestion of the Sadhuram directed their steps to the bazaar and obtaining some flour etc. from a charitable merchant, the Sadhuram prepared a few rotis and dal curry. After finishing dinner, they remained in the dharmashala till evening. Then the Sadhuram proposed a move towards the station, which was reached before dark. The same ticket clerk whom Ram had brought in touch with them the previous night was found at the gate. Ramdas went to him and requested him to allow them to proceed to Bombay by the night train. Although at first he consented to do so, when the train arrived at 2 a.m., he refused them admission to the platform. It was all Ram's wish. So they had to spend another night in the station, which meant cold, stiffening of the limbs, and swelling of them for the second time. Next morning, again, they retraced their steps to the city. The state of the Sadhuram's mind at this time was most miserable. Coming to the same Dharmashala, they met two Telugu sadhus. The Sadhuram, after a short talk with these sadhus, at once made up his mind to give up the company of Ramdas and join them. It was again all Ram's making. His ways are always inscrutable. Total submission to him means no anxiety, no fear, no pain, and all assurance. About half an hour later, Ramdas was left alone in the company of Ram, whose name he was uttering without cessation. The new sadhus and Sadhuram, who was so long Ramdas' guide and foster mother, as it were, departed from the Dharmashala. Now Ramdas was alone with Ram. Ramdas was meditating on Ram, unconcerned at the severance of the Sadhuram's company, for complete resignation to the will of Ram had deprived him of all sense of anxiety and cares for the future. Thus, time was passing in Ram Bhajan when two friends coming up to him dropped into his hands 2 anna pieces, suggesting that Ramdas might purchase some eatables from the bazaar to break his fast. Accordingly, Ramdas directed his steps to the bazaar. Here, while purchasing some eatables from a sweetmeat shop, at his elbow he felt somebody pulling him. Ramdas had now received in hand the eatables. Turning round, he heard the friend address him. Maharaj, a Shet desires you to go over to him. Ramdas instantly followed the friend, who led him into a shop wherein were piled up wheat bags. As Ramdas entered the place, a friend came up from inside the shop and fell prostrate at the feet of Ramdas, the mendicant. Rising up with folded hands, the friend requested Ramdas to accept Bhiksha at his house that day. This friend was the merchant who had sent for Ramdas. Ramdas was then again asked to sit on a thick white mattress called gadi with cushions to lean against. But Ramdas was a humble slave of Ram, so he preferred to sit on the floor. Here again he was offered a gunny bag on which he sat. After dinner, the kind-hearted merchant sat beside Ramdas and put him some questions in regard to his movements, etc., which were all duly answered in terms of Ram's will, which was alone the sole guide of Ramdas. Ramdas further told the Shet Ram's kindness and love for his bhaktas, and he who trusts Ram knows no sorrow. He can be happy under any circumstances. To have Ram's name on the lips means joy, pure joy, nothing but joy. The merchant was visibly affected to hear these words, for he was himself a great Ram Bhakta. Sitaram, Sitaram was always on his tongue. After a few minutes' talk, the Sheth entreated Ramdas to remain with him for some days. He went on to say that the body of Ramdas, which was then in a most neglected condition, required to be taken care of, and that Ram had specially sent over Ramdas to him with only this object in view. Now, it must not be forgotten to relate here that the clothes in which Ramdas was clad were totally in rags. Mahadev Prasad, such was the name of the merchant, in whose care Ramdas was placed by Ram, provided Ramdas with new clothes dyed in Garua, and every care was taken of him by his kind host. Mahadev became extremely fond of Ramdas. At nights, in spite of the remonstrances of Ramdas, Mahadev Prasad would sit beside the sleeping Ramdas and press his feet. Oh, the kindness he showered on poor and humble Ramdas was unbounded. Oh Ram, it was thee who was doing it all through that friend. Oh Ram, how good, how loving you are. Weep on, Ramdas, in silence. Weep not in sorrow, but in joy, because Ram's grace is upon you. For a month, Ramdas was detained by Mahadev with him. Throughout the day and night, he would not give up the company of Ramdas. At his request, Ramdas was explaining to him the meaning of some slokas from the Bhagavad Gita. With the help of the small understanding he was gifted by Ram, and Mahadev in return would read out and explain that monumental work of Tulasidas, the Hindi Ramayan. All people in his house were also very hospitable and kind to Ramdas. To prevent any cold affecting the heart of a frail bodied Ramdas, Mahadev got a tight woolen jacket made for him. O Ram, how kind of you, when thou art out to show thy fondness and love for thy slave, thou Shemnet, the very human mother who gave birth to Ramdas' body. Such is thy love unlimited. During his stay at Jhansi, Mahadev Prasad took Ramdas for a visit of two Mohammedan saints. The first was an aged saint named Mirjasi. He might have been over 60 years of age, lean and bent. He would not speak, but there was a cheerful twinkle in his eyes. In short, he was a mere baby, as simple, as innocent, as free. Mahadev Prasad has brought some eatables with him, which he thrust into the saint's mouth bit by bit. There was not a single tooth in the saint's mouth. The eatables were soft sweets. He chewed and swallowed them unconcernedly. He seemed to recognize nobody. His eyes had an absent and vacant look, though bright. He was visited twice. On the second occasion, he was found sitting on the ground outside his cottage, quietly tearing to bits stray pieces of paper scattered around him. That's all, folks. Let's see in the next chapter. Thank you. Bye bye. Rama Rama Pupoda.